This is your daily real estate syndication show, and I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today is a highlight show that's packed with value from different guests around a specific topic. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but also go to lifebridgecapital.com where you can sign up to start investing in real estate today. I hope you enjoy the show. Our guest is Rodney Miller. Thanks for being on the show, Rodney.
Thanks for having me.
You started learning about multifamily, right? And tell us about that process, and why you would go from this business that you already have established, all these single family homes. Why would you then venture into multifamily or even syndication?
Always wanted to do multifamily, but it always seemed too sophisticated for me. I don't know why. I just never really took a really hard look at it because you look at a 100-unit complex or a 50-unit, and you just think, that's millions of dollars. I don't deal with that. I deal with $50,000 houses or $75,000. I mean, that's just way out of my league. That's for the rich guys. But then, a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to take a hard look at it, and I read a couple of books, and I was like, no, it's very doable. It's very doable. And it's probably easier to do than the single family business. So it's just a mindset thing, and just you don't know what you don't know until you look into it. So I'd say it's 99% mindset that it just looks like this big, ugly monster that you don't want to take on. It's too scary. And then once you look at it, you break it down to little pieces. It's not a big deal. And so after reading a few books, I was like, I can do this. And so the next step was, hey, who can help me do this? So I started looking for mentors and coaches and groups that I could start, associating with. And I found the Bratz group out of Dallas and hooked up with that group. And so I go there about every month to 2 months and just network and associate with folks that are in the multifamily business, and has built a really good network over the last couple of years doing that. I've just folks that think like I do and are wanting to get into the business or already in the business. And it's just been a great ride. I've learned a lot. And I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm learning really quickly and starting to dip my toe in the water and have, I had a deal last year that fell through and got a deal now. So things are starting to move in the right direction.
Nice. So some key things there, you talked about, you found a mentor and also a network, and I just see time and time again, people who are successful in this business or in about any business, right? I mean, you're going to have a mentor or a coach, somebody that's helping you, give you some guidance or keep you motivated or on track, something. And then also the network of friends or other investors that are, that have been there and done that possibly, or where you're at least in the process.
Absolutely. As Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. Just go find somebody that's doing what you want to learn how to do, or find a group of people that are doing it, join the group, work for somebody that's doing it, or pay somebody to show you how to do it. And that's the quickest way to get from A to Z, man. Just find somebody doing it and attach your wagon to their train or whatever you say. But yeah, and I've gotten pretty good at it over the years. If I want to take my business to the next level or I want to do something different, I just find somebody that's done it and I find a way to partner up with them. And it just gets you there a lot quicker.
That's right. Hit your horse to their wagon, right?
Hit your horse to that's it. Hit your horse to their wagon. There you go.
So you mentioned a deal last year that fell through. Is that something where we can talk about and discuss, what happened with that opportunity or that deal? Yeah.
So I'd met some guys at one of these networking events, and they had just gotten a 80-unit deal in East Dallas that I think it was a $4 million deal. I had to raise like $1.5 million for it. And they asked me if I'd like to be a co-sponsor on it. And I said, heck yeah, it'd be my first deal. And so they brought me in to help raise capital. And I think they needed some help on the net worth part of it as a KP. And so I came in on it and we raised the capital. Everything went really smooth. And then the thing caught on fire like about a couple weeks before we were supposed to close on it. The boiler caught on fire, took out the boiler, the chiller. And then that was a great lesson in how not to be a seller, because these sellers just became very difficult to work with. I think they saw that they could fix the issues, put it back up for sale, and make a little bit more money. I don't know if they did when it was all said and done, but they really put the screws to us. They made it really difficult to close. We had to eventually abandon the deal, refund all of our investors their money back, pay them some interest for the time we held their money. And then, we were out 30, 40 grand in due diligence costs and all that, which the sellers didn't care. They were going to get their money. So just, it kind of taught me a little lesson on how to do the right thing when it comes down to it. Don't always go after the dollar, the extra dollar, just do the right thing.
That's interesting.
Learning experience. I learned a lot.
Yeah, it's a very small community. I find in this syndication business, there's so many people that knows everybody, right? And so when I hear stories like that, which isn't very often, thankfully, but I just feel like that person's not going to be in the business for a very long time. Or they're not looking at definitely a long-term approach. Maybe they have been. Some people manage to stay in the business a long time and keep keeping people off somehow. But tell us some things that you learned there about maybe how to be a good seller, or some things that happened that you would do different on the next one.
I really don't think they came out any better. I know they sold it after our contract bust, they sold somebody else. But I would just say, if you make a deal with somebody, follow through with the deal. Just do what you say you're going to do, because you're right. I mean, it's a small knit group of people, and I can guarantee you that, I wasn't talking highly of the folks after that deal fell through, and their name will come up, someday they'll want to buy or sell from somebody I've talked to, and they'll put a little, that person's, got in the back of their mind, is this person going to follow through with, do what they said they were going to do? And so I would say, yeah, in this business, it's definitely a relationship business, and it's just close-knit group of people. Do the right thing with brokers. Buyers and sellers should do the right thing. You should treat everybody you deal with respect, and just do what you say you're going to do, because it can come back to bite you.
Our guest is Tim Bratz. Thanks for being on the show, Tim.
Whitney, excited to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
Give the listeners a little more about who you are and what your focus is right now in real estate.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you again for having me. Appreciate all the value that you bring to the table, buddy. So I'm 33 years old, went through college when the market was going gangbusters last time. So 03 to 07, got involved with real estate. People said, hey, if you want to make money, get involved in real estate. And that's kind of what motivated a 21-year-old kid back then. And so my brother lived out in New York City. I went out there and I became a commercial real estate agent, representing landlords and businesses, finding spots. And so I brokered my first deal, my first lease out there that was 400 square feet. And we signed a $10,000 a month lease agreement on 400 square feet with a 4% annual escalation and a 12-year term, and realized pretty quickly I was on the wrong side of the coin. I needed to be owning rental property instead of brokering it. And so you start reading all those books on personal development and real estate, all these different things, and realized I really love the concept of residual income and doing something one time and then getting paid on it over and over and over again. And then obviously passive income, doing something and being really hands off and having either a business that was passive or an asset that passively created income on a regular basis. And so I love that, but I think a lot of us get into real estate for that allure, and then we kind of get jammed up and stuck in that rat race of transactional deals, right? So we go start flipping houses or wholesaling houses. I was doing a lot of that, gotten involved in like the turnkey business where I'd buy a single family house, fix it up, package it with a tenant and management, and then sell it off to somebody who just, wanted to own real estate passively. And a couple of years ago, about 18 months ago, looked at my portfolio, where was I making my money and where was I spending my time? And 90% of my wealth came from my apartment buildings that I was pretty much passively invested in. And it was about 10% of my time. And so I pivoted my entire residential investment team into apartments, and we went from about 400 units a couple years ago to we're at a little over 2,100 units today.
Nice. So yeah, I hear it so often about, people that get into real estate and they develop a flipping business or, something like wholesaling, but they're just creating another job, and so eventually it seems they get into multifamily and then they're like, why didn't I start this a long time ago?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, you realize that would you say like you were making your wealth was coming from your passive investments in multifamily. Is that right?
Yeah, my majority of my wealth was being created in my holdings versus this transactional. If I went and sold something, I'd keep the lights on, put some food on the table, but I'd have to go do it again in order to get paid again. And the reality is majority of my wealth, and maybe, we're in real estate, right? So some of that is actual cash that was coming in from these, and some of it was an equity in the project itself. But the reality is my net worth, what was making me wealthy, was all from my apartment building portfolio. So that's really where majority of the net worth came from. And that's where I wanted to focus on. It's like the transactional stuff is cool. You can have a good lifestyle and get rich doing that, but you can't build wealth doing that.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and that was actually the thing that was taking the least amount of your time.
Exactly. I raised some equity and raised some capital for some joint venture partners and helped kind of sponsor some of those loans and got involved in some of my own projects as well. I'm out of Cleveland, Ohio, but I invest in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, and a couple other areas. And so, I just took a look at kind of what were we doing. And I pivoted my team. I took my residential team and I took my acquisitions guy and told him to stop looking at houses and only look at apartment buildings. I took my project manager, instead of renovating houses, we're going to only renovate apartments. And my dispositions guy who was selling our houses, I said, instead of selling houses, you're going to be managing the management company, managing our assets. And so it was a big mindset shift, but it was really only a minor pivot for my business itself. And it's catapulted us. It's been, a quantum leap of where we were just 24 months ago to where we are today, and the opportunities that are coming up. I'm at 2,100 units. And I have another 1,100 under contract right now. And we just got a signed LOI on another 360 unit. I'm looking at 500 unit portfolio. So it's pretty remarkable when you make that sort of commitment to the universe, how the universe responds and says, hey, I want to encourage you and reward you for drawing a line in the sand and burning the ships.
I think it's interesting how you said, you mentioned that it was a small shift, where to me it sounded like, you all had a business, you had these systems in place, and then all of a sudden you said, we're cutting this off, we're shifting, we're doing this over here now. To me, that would seem like a big deal, when you're this many, other people that are involved and other employees. And, but I like the mindset of where you said, no, it was just a small shift, and now we're taking off in a new direction.
Yeah. So it's been great. It's been phenomenal. I wish I would have done it sooner.
Thank you for being a loyal listener of the show. Please subscribe and share it with your friends. We want to help you become the passive investor you've always wanted to become, but also the operator you've always wanted to become. We want to be the #1 resource for your real estate investing journey. But go to lifebridgecapital.com where you can start investing in real estate today.